So you haven't found that?
No, not that one.
No.
That wasn't a part of our research.
Oof. I'm not sure I could go to that club.
So, and there's a complete compilation with 15 tracks. I'm very, very glad to see you.
Thank
and I
you.
just have some questions, of course. Gwilym was able to meet Brian May
Right.
to get to know the situation of Brian and how he works and how he acts. So, how did you prepare yourself? Were you able to meet her or the family? So just, how did you start?
Unfortunately not. I wasn't able to meet her. She's a very private person still. So Brian May as well was very much my source. He was actually the person to introduce Mary and Freddie. So he has this very beautiful insight into who they are and were as individuals, and then the impact they had on each other when they met and found seemingly instantaneously that connection that carried them through their lives together. So that combined with research into the interviews that she's done and seeing how she spoke about those experiences herself.
So what was the main difference in preparing your character?
Yeah, there were times, of course, I wish I had that ability. Obviously, that wasn't there for me, but I had to find a way around it. I watched every piece of footage I could find. And then when I exhausted that, I thought, man, where else can I go? Where else can I go? And I thought, oh, he kind of left us a diary in a way. If you look at his music and the lyrics, he's just speaking straight from his heart and soul. So I could understand him a little bit more clearly that way.
And you just met Brian.
Yeah, just hanging
Just
out
that.
with God, as you do. But yeah, that was amazing because, it's overwhelming. You do see him as an icon, really. And you see this, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. But because he was so generous with his time and he allowed us to hang out with him, you break that down and you get to know the human being. And the whole process becomes a lot more approachable, I suppose.
Yeah, look, we gave this movie literally everything we had. When I found out that I was close to getting the role, I went to one of my best friends and said, "Give me your bass guitar, because I need to learn." And so I tried to learn a couple of the easier songs, like Another One Bites the Dust and Crazy Little Thing Called Love, just because I was sure that would be a part of the audition process. It wasn't. They only wanted to hear my accent, and I was like, okay, fine, I guess I got away with this, because I, like Ben, did what any self-respecting actor would do when they asked me if I played bass, and I lied, and I said yes. But then what was amazing is they actually brought me out about 5 weeks before we started shooting, and I got to work with Paul Westwood, who is maybe the best studio bassist in all of England, and do lessons with him 4 or 5 days a week. And then we continued that playing throughout the entire 6-month shoot, and it was really, it was a very intensive process to sort of become these guys with the instruments and the accents and the movements and everything. It was a huge challenge.
Definitely, yeah, it was definitely a huge challenge. I mean, but what's great about playing these roles as opposed to other roles is there's so many resources available. Like there's so many so much archive footage. There's so many documentaries, so much stuff on YouTube that we can use, and also the guys themselves, Brian and Roger, were incredibly supportive, not just to me and Gwyl, but to Joe as well, and to Rami as well, and they really, I asked Roger a million questions. He probably doesn't want to talk to me ever again after that questions I asked him. But it was so useful.
That's typical when people talk to you.
It's true, actually. It's true. Yeah, it's true.
So there are lots of emotional, inspiring and sad moments in the movie. So what was for you the most surprising character trait of your character and also of Freddie? Maybe character traits you didn't know before.
I guess the strength of their love for one another, as much of a cliche as that sounds. Just, I didn't really know the details of the trajectory of their relationship. So the kind of turning point in all of that, when they address his sexuality and he comes out, was a very kind of, pivotal moment in learning about both of them, the way they both navigated that, and both in a way that was very much trying to protect the other and themselves. So it was, I think, the kind of most tangibly human moment for both of them.
Okay.
character trait. There's something. Yeah, there's something that it took me a long time before I actually realised Roger did. I don't know if he still does. But he does this thing where often he's kind of like, after he makes like a quip or like a joke, or even if he's just laughing at someone else, he kind of begins, and then there's almost like a moment of him becoming self-conscious and kind of like not committing fully to the laugh and the smile and coming back down. It's hard to explain. I could show you if I could pull up YouTube, but yeah. So that was something I found really interesting. You go.
Yeah. What I found fascinating was that I sort of describe him as the accidental rock star. This was something that he didn't think he was going to do with his life. He was just doing it on weekends for fun, sort of a hobby. And he blinked one day and he was in the biggest band of all time. And so that was just like such an interesting journey to see like this guy who was really more technical, right? Like he built his own bass amp and he was into stuff like that. And before you knew it, he's writing #1 hit songs. And like, that's just not a journey I think I've ever heard of with a rock star. You know, it's always the dream. And so that was just kind of a fun, sort of cool thing to learn, you know.
And if you talk about Queen, you also talk about, not just talk about music, you also talk about style and costumes, and there are quite a few in the movie which are very, very crazy. So can you tell me, what's your favorite one you wearing in the movie, and what's the favorite one another character wears? We just say, oh, I would love to wear that as well.
Ooh, that's good.
All of Freddie's clothes. Yeah. Every day was it became a bit of a competition as we come out of our trailers to see what everyone was wearing each day. And inevitably, this guy won every day.
Yeah, it is true. I had the most outlandish, flamboyant costumes, and I don't think Freddie would have it any other way. I mean, when you look back on some of the costumes, there was a period where everybody settled into their own more casual style, and he was still, glittered up and satined out, and had all the sequins going on as well. That was one of my favorite costumes, the one-piece sequin outfit, just because of how it shimmered. You just wanted to move around so the light could hit every piece of it, and I would have never said that about 2 years ago.
There's a cool photo I saw yesterday of Freddie when he was about 10 years old, I guess, at school with 4 other kids, and they're all wearing uniform, or supposed to be wearing uniform. But even then, he was wearing his trousers in a slightly different way, and they're a slightly different tone, and he had his shirt worn a different way. He was always, even at that stage, you could tell that he had something about him.
He did, yeah. I know the picture you're talking about.
Of mine, I think the very first time you meet Mary, she's wearing this incredible violet purple coat that just, you can't help but feel so kind of powerful in it. So I would love to own that. And then of the boys, I love the Freddie at one point, and I think Brian too, wears these Zandra Rhodes white pleated tops that are kind of, the movement in them is just exquisite. So I love those. And all the flares, of course.
I think there are crazy days behind you. We've met just for a brief moment in LA, and we were on the plane to LA and watched the show. That was awesome. So what was your best experience in that project from day one till now? You have just one day where you say, okay, that was incredible, just so far.
The very, very last day of filming was incredibly emotional. We had 2 kind of last days because we went back for additional shoots. So the last of all, when we went back to Live Aid, which had also been my first day, so it kind of bookended the experience. And so to have that direct comparison to the kind of baby versions of us who had no idea what this experience was going to be like. And then, of course, that day with all the emotional attachment and weight of everything we had been through. So all the tears and such you see in Live Aid were 100% authentic.
I know you did lots of research in the internet, thanks for the internet. But have you seen and have you explored that there was in the 90s a Eurodance, Eurotrash compilation who covered Queen songs? You didn't know. So am I allowed to play one song from a female artist? She was 17 years old. She was called Blümchen, so it's in English it's florid, and she did a Eurodance version of Bicycle Race. So I think in the end of the interview, and thanks for the experience for Vegas, for Berlin, for everything, for tomorrow, I think I want to leave with that song. I hope it's fine for you.
Okay, let's listen.
90s. I just skip a little bit.
Wow, that's intense.
Oh my god. You need to do this in like a spin class. Go on for the full bicycle race with this.
Okay.
That's how she looks. So you haven't found that?
No, not that one.
No.
That wasn't a part of our research.
I'm not sure I could go to that club.
So, and there's a complete compilation with 15 tracks, and maybe there's an after-show party tomorrow where I just play the whole album.
There we go.
So-
can we get a copy of that for the
Yeah,
soundtrack of the
absolutely.
movie?
I
It's
do,
not too
I do.
late. It comes out in a couple of days.
I'm
Put on the
working on
DVD.
it. See you tomorrow. Bring the
Yeah.
Blümchen song, and you can celebrate and have a party with
We'll
me.
put it in the end credits.
Perfect.
Thanks, mate.
No worries at all. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you very much, and
Thank
enjoy
you.
tomorrow releasing the baby.
Thank you so much. Oh my
See you
goodness.
tomorrow.
Thank you.